16 is this weekend. Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is our fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer in wonderful Memphis, Tennessee. And you can always catch us at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And you can find us personally on X at JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, who is out umpiring some high school baseball tonight, and at LG for Real Though, Larry Gardner, your PA voice of the Rome Emperors, doing a little bit more prep for Rome Emperors opening day, which is right around the corner. So just you and me, Wayne. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. There's a little bit of a thing going on in NASCAR right now. The last track that they were at last weekend was technically the longest track because it's a road course. It's not the fastest track, but this weekend they're going to go to one of the smaller tracks. It's in Richmond, and it's Sunday night, the 31st.
Sunday night racing's always fun.
Yep.
And short tracks are always exciting. Tight turns,
yeah,
precision racing.
Yeah, precision shoving.
And, it's always about tires in this short track. You got to keep those tires fresh. I'm doing well, Wayne. Not as well as the offer Caitlin Clark received from Ice Cube in his Big Three basketball league, though. Clark was offered $5 million to play in his Big Three basketball league. No comment has been made by Caitlin Clark as to the offer just yet. Also, a hats off to the UGA men's basketball team. It's making one of the deeper runs of the SEC in postseason play, heading to the NIT Final Four after beating Xavier, Wake Forest, and Ohio State. And Xavier was a home game, two of those on the road. So hats off to Mike White and the Georgia Bulldogs men's basketball program. Hopefully, this is a building block into the 68 next year.
Yeah. Now, I like Xavier getting beat anytime because as far as that town goes, I'm more of a Cincinnati fan than Xavier.
Xavier, Cincinnati, lots of basketball schools right there and in Cincinnati, Ohio. What's on tap for today's show? We will be talking about the madness that is the Sweet 16. We'll give you our new Final Four if need be, because I definitely need to get one more team in there. And I have to give you a new national champion on that note. And we'll give our division winners in Major League Baseball, as tomorrow is opening day for like 24 teams, because the Dodgers and Padres have already opened up and you have 2 rainouts already. Braves are one of those teams, unfortunately. I'm going to have to sit on my hands and just watch other baseball teams tomorrow as they open up their season, and all their fans get to have happy endings on opening day and hot dogs and beer. And I'm just going to be sitting in the rain with my umbrella, Wayne, waiting for Friday at 3:05.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be talking a lot of Major League Baseball and Sweet 16. Let's go ahead and get into it. Major League Baseball opening day is Thursday. But there's a bigger story looming that involves arguably the face of the game in Shohei Ohtani. Our thoughts, plus our division winners and wild cards in each league. Take me out to the ball game, Wayne. Give me your division winners, man. I know we went over our favorites a couple weeks ago, who we think's going to possibly win the whole thing. But give me your division winners in each league. Give me your 6 division winners. We'll start with the American League West. Your home base with the Rangers there. You got the Rangers winning that division, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah, I do. And I actually, I'm sure a lot of people expect a lot from Los Angeles, the Angels, but I've got a feeling it's going to take the Angels a few years to get in line with Washington's program over there and start winning games. So I'm picking Texas in the AL West. Should we go over the whole AL, or do you want to give your AL West?
Let's go to the AL Central. So I'm sticking out West in the AL West. We'll go West to East. We'll have a little fun with this thing.
Cool.
And for me, in the AL West, I'm sticking with the cream of the crop, the Astros. New manager comes in for Dusty Baker, Joe Espada, and here we are. Good team still got a good core of guys. Altuve, Jordan Alvarez, still got a really good front end rotation. Verlander's coming back, hopefully by maybe mid-May, maybe earlier. He has resumed baseball activities. So I'm going with the Astros to win that division, but I'm not counting your Rangers out. I do have them as one of my wild card teams, and that could be an extremely tight division, as it was last year. You go to the standings and look at it last year.
It tightened up at the end.
It tightened up at the end, and the Astros won it by tiebreakers. So they both finished 90 and 72. It's going to be a real interesting race out in the West. The Mariners are going to be really good in that division as well. They're one of my wild card picks. I think a lot of people have forgotten about the Mariners and Rodriguez out there. I also got the Yankees as a wild card. So it kind of goes. So we'll go from the West to the Central. I got the Twins and Rocco Baldelli taking this division yet again. 4 big names at the top of that lineup should produce enough runs to get them over the hump in that AL Central. You got Julian, the second baseman, DH Buxton, shortstop Carlos Correa, former Astro there, and the third baseman Royce Lewis. These guys can slug. And expect a lot of home runs hit between those 4, a lot of RBIs. And look, they won this division by 9 games last year over Detroit. So they kind of owned that division last year. I'm thinking about the same thing. Who's your AL Central champion, Wayne?
Well, I'm going to surprise everybody because this is a team that was in quite a bit of a dungeon last year. Is I'm picking Kansas City to win that division. And if I'm going to say there's any wild card or anything, I would say the White Sox, but that's only because I'm a White Sox fan.
Southsider, baby, Southsider. Right. I like the Twins also because Rocco Baldelli, again, been there, done that, knows how to manage. Won the key games going down the stretch, did Minnesota, and they got a pretty good roster, folks. You look at the front end of this rotation, and they got guys that can do it. And Pablo Lopez is one of those guys. Remember, this guy can do it all. Inside, outside, control speed, change speed. So Pablo Lopez at the front of that rotation there, it's going to be really fun to watch the Minnesota Twins moving forward. So I got the Twins. You got the Royals and Bobby Witt Jr. and Will Smith coming over from your Rangers, looking for 4 straight championships in a row or whatever it is. So maybe you're onto something there. I like what the Royals have done in the offseason, a lot of moves up in that franchise. Maybe they will shock some people. We do have 2 other picks here. Larry and TC will go ahead and catch everybody up on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And let me go send you TC in the Central. He's going with me and doing the Twins. He's also with me on the Astros. Larry is got the Rangers. He's got your Rangers winning the West, and he's got Minnesota as well in the AL Central. Let's move eastward, shall we, Wayne?
Yeah, I think we're all going to pick the same team here.
Yeah, I think the AL East might look. The Baltimore Orioles shocked everybody last year. I picked the Rays to win that division last year. I thought Rosarina and then they had some mishaps with some of their famous players. No more Franco. And here we go now. The Rays are kind of looking like the bottom feeders in that division. I am taking the Baltimore Orioles and manager Brandon Hyde. Look, not many predicted the O's to win that division last year, and all they did was win 100 games. Not only win the East, they were the number 1 seed going into that postseason. The addition of Corbin Burns was huge. They got outpitched in that ALDS by your Rangers. No Felix Bautista, no problem. They bring in Craig Kimbrell, guy who's had over 415 career saves to replace that AL All-Star Bautista. Craig Kimbrell will come in and do just fine. He looked pretty good the last couple of days of spring. And remember, the AL Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson, will build on an incredible rookie year. And especially his postseason performance, batting like 500, went 6 for 12 in the ALDS. I like the Orioles as well. What say you, Wayne?
Well, I'm picking the Orioles too. I mean, last year I picked New York, and that was a horrible pick. New York might not be too bad this year, but I think Baltimore is going to be the one to take that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race. The Yankees could win that thing. The Rays, they always find a way to play ball. And obviously, we have the Boston Red Sox, who have had a winning tradition.
No, Boston's not going to be anywhere near that this year.
I don't think so. But you never can count out anything in baseball with injuries. And again, the Yankees could catch fire in this division. If Stanton and Judge, and they're in my wild card, that's my third wild card team in the AL right there. If the Yankees can do, there goes my dog. If the Yankees could just do one thing and stay healthy, they'll be all right. They'll be just fine. They'll probably at least make a wild card. If not, they'll push the Baltimore Orioles for that division crown. But again, Garrett Cole, question mark there. Is he going to be able to come back and be the same guy with an elbow injury and all these question marks? Marcus Stroman doesn't want to take the opening day nod as the starter. So what does this team do for pitching going down the stretch if Cole isn't 100%? So Yankees have a lot of question marks, and I think that's why we all went Orioles in that situation. And I will double check, but yeah, TC's got the Orioles, and so does Larry. Now, for wild cards, Larry didn't send us anything, but in the wild card for the American League, Todd has the Rangers, Yankees, and Rays. So he's still got the Rays in there. For my wild card, I got the Rangers. I got the Yankees. I got the Mariners.
Yeah.
Just right there at the end last year, but came up just short. I feel like they get over the hump this year and at least get the wild card spot. That's it for me. The Orioles, Twins, Astros, Rangers, Yankees, Mariners, your three division winners, your three wild card winners in the American League. Wayne, you got three wild card winners. You said the Sox. You said
Seattle.
Seattle and the Yankees?
And Toronto.
Toronto's a good team, too. Someone's going to be left out of there. Thank you for mentioning Toronto. They have got a loaded lineup from top to bottom. Some decent pitching. That's going to be their issue moving forward. Do they have enough pitching to combat that offense that they have?
You just got to have a clever manager. That's all you got to have.
Clever manager.
Right.
All right, guys, let's flip over to the NL East as my dog's going nuts in the background there. The NL East is pretty easy. We'll go from east to west this time. I got the Braves, got the jersey on, got the hat on, opening on the road against the dreaded Phillies. But here's why. They got Spencer Strider.
Yep.
Spencer Strider. He's on my fantasy baseball team for a reason. My number one overall pick, fourth overall in the league, Spencer Strider. I reached for you, Spence, because you're going to get me the strikeouts. You're going to get me that ERA. You're going to keep the hits down. You're going to saw off bats, and the new curveball is going to blow people's mind. And I'm going to make a bold prediction. I hope I don't jinx this guy. Cy Young.
Oh.
Cy Young Award winner this year is going to be Spencer Strider. MajorLeagueBaseball.com has Spencer Strider as their number one pitcher in their power rankings. If you're watching the YouTube, Wayne's going to put up a little graphic right there with 10 pretty prestigious pitchers. That 10th pitcher is going to be Tyler Glasnow over there in L.A., which is one of the reasons why I still got L.A. out west. But the Braves in the East, look, not only do they have Strider, they still have Charlie Morton, they have Chris Sale, they have Max Fried, and this Reynaldo Lopez guy looked pretty good in spring. He won that fifth rotational spot. But don't be surprised if a guy like A.J. Smith-Shawver, Bryce Elder, another one of these draft picks comes up and makes a name for himself and just pick and play. Alex Anthopoulos has been notorious for picking guys up at the right time and putting them in the lineup and getting extreme success out of them. So NL East, it's got to go to the Braves for the 7th consecutive year. Wayne, what say you?
I have to pick the Braves too, mostly because I don't like anybody else in that division. It's not that I don't like how they play baseball or the uniforms; just I've never liked any of those teams. And if I'm going to pick a wild card in there, I guess I'm going to have to go with the Nationals because I've got a feeling they're getting overlooked.
Ooh, Nationals.
Well,
Had a lot of losing lately.
Yeah.
I like the pick. I don't necessarily agree with it, but you know me, I'm never going to disagree with the pick because it's sports.
Well, yeah, I'm saying
that
that.
Have any opinion?
Now, just so I'm clear, the Nationals are my wild card. I'm picking the Braves to win that division.
Oh, I know. But a wild card, there's some good wild card teams that are probably going to make those 3 spots. But if you pick hey, look, you were right on last year about picking the Rangers.
Well, I always pick them though, so come on.
So I got to give it to you. TC's also going Braves, and I believe the voice of the Rome Emperors, Larry Gardner, is also taking the Atlanta Braves. Let's move Central. NL Central here. Larry's got the Cincinnati Reds. TC has the Cincinnati Reds. And I have the Cincinnati Reds. I think their run at the end of the season last year was really impressive. De La Cruz, you got a lot of young talent. The catcher, Stevenson, from Atlanta, Georgia, by the way, they got some good young pieces. They got Hunter Green, Ashcroft at the top of that rotation. Got another couple good arms there. If that rotation takes a step forward, watch out for the Cincinnati Reds. They can really make some strides there. Manager David Bell is going to have this team playing well the entire 162. And I do think the Reds get back to their winning ways this year and win the NL Central. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I think you guys picked the wrong Red. I'm going with the Cardinals here for the same reason I picked Kansas City over in the American League. As down of the season as they had last year, I think they're going to bounce back hard and win that division. And I'm picking the Cubs as a wild card.
I like it. The Cubs and Dansby Swanson are my 3rd wild card team. I do think the Cubs make a little push with their new manager, Craig Counsell. It's going to get the most out of the team. The D-backs also no longer a long shot, but they are my 2nd wild card. The Phillies are my 3rd wild card. And we'll move out west for the NL West with the Dodgers. I got the Dodgers and manager Dave Roberts getting the job done yet again. But boy, we have got to talk about everything after we get our picks in about Shohei Ohtani, because this story may loom for quite a while. And do the distractions of this story distract the franchise from accomplishing their goal this year when they got a stacked lineup with the likes of Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, the catcher, still have Clayton Kershaw. And again, I mentioned Glasnow, who's going to be a really key addition to a rotation that had gotten a little old. I think that's a great addition. Still got the Dodgers winning it. TC also has the Dodgers winning it, and I believe Larry does too. He does have the Dodgers. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit farther north with my pick. I'm picking the Giants. I've got a feeling that they've been in the hunt several years. Last year, not so much, but I'm picking them because they're one of the teams in the National League that I really like. Wild card, I'm going with the Diamondbacks.
I like it. Look, both those teams you just mentioned have the firepower to win the division outright. It's going to be one of the closer divisions. I think that's the best division going into baseball this year. is the NL West, and then it's probably the AL East. I think it's that close with the Dodgers, D-backs, and Giants, especially with the D-backs just acquiring Jordan Montgomery, who they lost to in the championship, and said, we need that guy on our team. They did a 1-year, $25 million deal. I like exactly what the D-backs are doing. They might make me look bad and win that whole division. But speaking of that, let's go talk about that. We mentioned the looming story with those Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani, the gambling saga with his interpreter being fired, him accusing his interpreter of stealing $4.5 million for gambling debts to a Southern California bookmaker. Wayne, this story is very interesting. With the amount of gambling done on a daily basis through the apps, through Vegas, Atlantic City, wherever it is so prevalent. You saw it at Iowa, in Iowa State, with players getting kicked off the team for gambling. This is going to be a bigger problem each and every year as more and more apps are hitting the app stores, making it easier and easier to bet. You can put a IP address or whatever where it makes it look like you're in Tennessee, which you have sports betting up there. Makes it look like you're in North Carolina, which they have sports betting up there. So it's very easy to get around the geofencing put in place. And here we are now. We have a major face of a major contender in Major League Baseball, and it's Shohei Ohtani. Wayne, what are your thoughts on this? Did he gamble, do you think? Didn't he gamble? What's your opinion on this?
Well, I can have opinions all day about whether he did or did not, or how his involvement was in it. But I'll just wait for whatever investigative thing to be finished and whatever they come up with. But the interesting point I want to make is, if he is found to have been involved in some type of gambling, I really think that they should allow Pete Rose to decide his punishment. and that'll give, kind of Pete Rose a little platform to decide, do I want to give this guy as harsh a thing as they gave me, or do I want to show him what they should have done with me and go lenient on this dude?
Yeah, it's really interesting what's going to happen, because we've all, I'm sure, seen the videos circling around social media where Pete Rose is out with a friend.
Yeah.
And he basically says, boy, in the 70s and 80s, or 80s and 90s, whatever, he said, I wish I had an interpreter. I would have been off scot-free.
Yeah. Oh, my interpreter did it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't quite have an opinion on this just yet.
And we don't have enough information. There's not enough information to have an opinion yet.
There's not enough information to form an honest opinion for or against Shohei Ohtani. But right now, I got to side with what Ohtani said.
Yeah.
And that he's the victim of a major crime.
Yeah.
But then again, comes into who knew, who didn't know. And then that's the speculation part of this. And I honestly don't want to speculate on anything, because this is probably one of the biggest stories in the last, quite a while in baseball, folks.
Well, it is kind of convenient that the story comes up just as the season's fixing to start. I don't know if this is something that the press cooked up, or it'd be a shame if they did, because you've taken down some guy, or at least put some kind of stain on his record.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what Major League Baseball does. Again, they're affiliated with FanDuel, DraftKings, all these Bet ESPN. They got advertising, prop bets, prize picks. I mean, there's so many different ways to bet. So, and this problem's gonna start stemming more. There was an NBA player that got busted for betting props just recently as well. So this is gonna get, again, more serious and worse before it gets any better. But this is a huge story, which is taking away from a really good franchise and a really good team that has a chance to accomplish something really incredible. So, look, again, do I have an opinion if he did it or not? No, not yet. I have to go by what he says right now, and what he says is that he was a victim of theft. And if the language barrier, and I will compare this to Ronald Acuna Jr. and the fact that he has an interpreter. And he just wrote an article that was very heartfelt and kind of explained some of the things, why he didn't talk to the media, this and that, and how the language barrier is a really big deal. And maybe that is just that. Maybe the language barrier is a huge deal, and he had no clue. And folks, I'm not that rich. I didn't just sign a $700 million deal. It is very possible that he had an account laying around with some cash that his interpreter had access to, that he'd forgotten he had access to. There are so many ifs, ands, or buts about this and fingers to this story that are just going to keep spreading. And until the real thing comes out, I'm not going to formulate an opinion. But I will say that if you like to speculate and you like to do the conspiracy theory thing, there are tons of theories out there. And there's a bunch of string theory bets, starting with a game he played in and pitched in Atlanta. And it's very intriguing. You can go find that on your own. But again, folks, did he or didn't he do it? I don't know. Right now, I'm going to believe that he was a victim because that's what he says. And he is trying to get in front of this. He is trying to clear his name. He is doing all the right steps to make it seem like he is innocent. So if all this smashes the egg on his face and this comes out as he was, that's going to look pretty bad on him. But we will see. I can't say whether he did or didn't. Again, I want to reiterate that, but I'm just kind of going on all the highlights here that we've seen. But if the language barrier is that big of a deal, which it probably is, I have no clue, but it is just really interesting, Wayne. Any final thoughts on Shohei Ohtani and the interpreter betting scandal that has taken over the world? You shake your head no, but man, there's just so much more that is going to come out from that can once it's open.
Yeah.
And
well,
I'm anxious to see what happens, Wayne, because if he is found that he was involved, you could see suspensions, you could see fines, you could see all the above. And it's going to be really interesting how Dave Roberts and the Los Angeles Dodgers handle this story moving forward in a season in which Dave Roberts is considered to be on the hot seat because he hasn't gotten a real championship, as people say.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's crazy because he won the 2020 thing. But, hey, we'll see. We will see. This is a huge story, and it will keep on spiraling out of control until we find out the last detail and the yes or no, did Shohei Ohtani gamble? We don't know. We will find out, and again, the story will continue to spiral.
Yeah, well,
until the final day.
The only thing I'd have to say in closing on this is, me personally, I don't gamble with money very much, or if at all, because I have to drive on the interstate here in Memphis, and that's a pretty big gamble anytime I do that. But as far as trying to figure out what I was going to say now, so let's roll to the next subject.
But yeah, it's just really interesting. Again, no comment from me yet on whether he did or didn't gamble.
I know what I was
say. The language barrier has to be a big deal. When you're that rich, it is quite possible that he did have some money laying around that this interpreter and friend may have had access to that he had forgotten about. And then all these wire transfers from him to this guy, it's very eye-opening, folks.
Yeah. Well, I remembered what I was going to say now. If anybody does have an opinion on this, put that in the comments below. Fill it up. Tell us what all you're thinking about, because we can either respond to it or we'll respect whatever you said and move on.
Yeah. Put it down in the comments, folks. And again, if you like the content, please please subscribe. We do this for fun for y'all, and we enjoy doing it. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, click the notification button so you can get notified when our latest content drops. And again, you can always follow us at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. That wraps up our Major League Baseball segment. Let's move forward. It's time.
Yeah.
Sweet 16's here. It's been a heck of a season. We saw Oakland take down Kentucky with 10 3-pointers by Golke. and 15 as a team. We've seen, other than that, pretty much chalk. The Cinderella standing pretty much is NC State.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Wayne, this is crazy. Of the 16 teams left, only 2 are mid-majors, Gonzaga and San Diego State. And those really aren't mid-majors, as we know, as San Diego State. The Aztecs went to the finals last year. Gonzaga's been there before. So this is pretty much a blue blood Sweet 16. And look, the ACC 8-1 in this tournament. Big East unbeaten in this tournament. SEC 5-6. Pretty bad. Maybe Georgia should have been in this bad boy.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm teasing, folks. Of course, Georgia shouldn't have been in here. But anyway, folks, we're talking about the Sweet 16. It's been a heck of a tournament. From 68 to 16, let's preview the Sweet 16, give you our updated Final Four. Wayne, who do you have cutting down the nets now that your Auburn Tigers are eliminated?
Well, right now, I only have Tennessee and Alabama left, and they are pretty much quasi-rivals of Auburn, who I had picked. So either one of those two would be fine with me. That's probably one of the reasons why I picked all SEC Final Four, so that I wouldn't be too disappointed in whoever won.
Well, my Final Four is still fairly intact now. I have Arizona, Illinois, and Purdue left, but my national champion, Kentucky, obviously got ousted by 10 3-pointers from Golke, who got a heck of an NIL deal right after that game, as he should have.
Yeah.
Great thing about the tournament. So if I'm going to go in that bracket, man, I hate doing this because I normally I don't get my Final Four out like that. I've done pretty well with my bracket here. Let's go look at the bracket. Let's get down here. Look, I think Houston could very well. Their defense is the best in the country. They were there in the Final Four last year and been there before. Had some success in the tournament. So I guess Houston would be my other pick in that. To cut down the nets, man, I'm really high on UConn again. It's going to be tough for them to repeat. Right now, again, I still think Illinois is going to pull off the upset. And it's a matter of just guard play, not turning the ball over, and making your shots, and anybody can win this thing. It's wide open Sweet 16. Wayne, who do you have cutting down the nets now?
Well, I'm just going to say I'll go with, my dad is an Alabama fan. My mom is a Tennessee fan. So it's going to be tough to say which one. I kind of lean in more Tennessee because their fans are a little bit less irritating than the Alabama fans, but they're not too far behind.
Rifle Rick Barnes, as they call him, from Hickory, North Carolina, former Texas Longhorn coach. Look, he's got Tennessee playing at elite level, offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I got a comment about your Final Four there. What if Illinois plays Purdue in the championship game?
All Big Ten final.
Well, here's the question I've got about that. If that happens, if Illinois and Purdue end up in the championship game, does Ooey Pooey automatically get a championship trophy? Because it's the University of Illinois, Purdue at something. I know it's a very strange.
IUPUI?
Yeah.
That's Indiana University, Purdue University of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So IUPUI.
Ooey Pooey.
IUPUI. I actually, a long time ago, met a couple people on a spring break trip that went to IUPUI, and that's the only reason I know what IUPUI means.
Well, Memphis used to play them a lot in the pre-conference games, but they don't anymore. I guess because the SEC has drawn so much attention, they really fill up their non-conference schedule with SEC teams now.
Yeah, and again, I'm sticking with 3 of my Final Four. I'm going to replace Houston instead of Kentucky. But look, Illinois, again, head coach Brad Underwood has this team playing at elite level. Yeah. Terrence Shannon Jr., 23 points a game. This offense is 4 players that can give you 10 plus each and every night so they can really spread it around. Tommy Lloyd in Arizona, they're third in rebounding, really good rebounding team, can keep it a half-court game. And honestly, look, they've beaten Duke, they've beaten the Blue Bloods in this, and they got Caleb Love, a guy that's been there, done that before. Guard play is huge, as I mentioned. Purdue, head coach Matt Painter, again, 12th in scoring. That was my big thing. I mentioned it last week. Rebounding and scoring was my themes in the tournament. I should have kicked out and put in Houston because they rebound better than Kentucky, and I beat myself up for that. It's the one rule I had. But again, Purdue, one of the best rebounding teams in the country, got the best scorer in the country, got the most likely two-time player of the year, Zach Edey. I think they got out of that first round. They've gotten it out of their head. It wouldn't surprise me if Purdue cuts down the nets with this thing. It's so wide open. Again, only 2 mid-majors. NC State is playing extremely well with their big guy, number 30. The name's slipping my head right now. But it wouldn't surprise me if that Cinderella just kept on going because the ACC is a super strong conference, and they're just chugging along. So really fun to watch this tournament. Just enough upsets to keep you on your seat. And honestly, the play overall of the tournament has just been fabulous. Lots of close games. I'm just expecting a lot of fun this week 16. But if I had to go with one, man, I really liked Kentucky at the beginning of this thing. I thought Calipari was going to have this team ready to go. He's now on the hot seat, but he saved his job. Everybody thought it was crazy to put him on the hot seat. Not me. Heck, when you're in Kentucky, you want to win more than just one game in every 4 or 5 years. So I can see why he was on the hot seat, but I can also see why he stayed. He gets some of the best players in the country there. So there's that little bonus content for you. But look, I'm going to go with Purdue to cut these nets down. Look, I'm going to go with the best player in the country, Wayne. And it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't all Big Ten final, Wayne. It wouldn't surprise me at all. One of the best conferences. It's just been extremely fun to watch this tournament. But head coach Matt Painter seems like he's got this team poised for a deep run, and they got the 16 over the 1 seed last year out of their heads. And it seems like they're playing that way. Wayne, any final comments on the Sweet 16?
Well, not necessarily in the Sweet 16, but, you kept talking about Calipari being on the hot seat. And Kentucky's just a hot seat whether you're there for 1 year or 10 years, because if you think about it, they fired Patino, they fired Tubby Smith, and, they won't have any problem firing Calipari if you don't do something better next year.
Yeah, they'll have no problem. And it is DJ Burns Jr., number 30 for NC State. Okay. Guy is just looks like an offensive lineman out there. 6'9", 275 out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Shoots 52% from the field. They could do something. I mean, he's a matchup nightmare in the NCAA tournament. Blocks shots as well. So watch out for NC State. But again, it's full of blue bloods. I think a team that can make a run that nobody's really talking about in the West region, the Clemson Tigers, the 6th seed there.
Yeah, they kind of slipped in there on everybody.
Yeah, everybody, they shouldn't have gotten in. They shouldn't have gotten in. Well, they've won 2 games and quietly have kept the foot on the gas. They got Arizona tomorrow night. Let's see, 7 p.m. that game tomorrow night. And then Alabama's still in there, as you mentioned. The Creighton Blue Jays, Big East. Marquette's still in there. The Iowa State Cyclones, the number 2 seed in the East region. Duke. Still a huge name. Nobody seems like they're talking about Duke. They play Houston on Friday.
We may end up with a Duke North Carolina championship game.
We could. Heck, 2 years ago, it was Duke UNC in the Final Four for Coach K's last game. So we could see anything, Wayne. Anything goes in this thing. I mean, North Carolina, the number 1 seed, they could still get a hold. They play Alabama Thursday night. And again, I'm putting Houston in there. But look, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go with them. I'm going with Purdue. Todd says don't bet on them. I think they're playing at an elite level. Let's go. All right. Any final thoughts on the Sweet 16, Wayne?
No.
All right. Let's have some fun and tell everybody a little bit of the statistics from our 2024 bracket challenge. Let me pull up my notes here. I do have who's currently winning. Sarah 004611 apostrophe S, so I got to pronounce it. Picks 2 is atop our challenge. So Sarah, I hope you win the thing. If you do, please like and follow us on one of our social medias. Direct message us. Keep in contact. We might have a little prize for the winner at the end. I haven't quite decided yet. I like to do it for fun normally, but if we have a new winner and they contact me, I might have a little something for them. So Sarah 004611 is our number one bracket in our 2024 bracket challenge. Larry doing the best out of all of us right now, tied for 5th. I'm 10th. Todd's 16th. Wayne, you're 21st. And thanks to all who participated. Please keep up with our socials to see who wins the bracket challenge. And again, if you win it, please reach out to myself, Todd, on ATL Prime Sports' personal Twitter, X, and we will keep you posted on what you won. That is it for the show. Let's get to our final thoughts. I'll start this one off, Wayne, because it's huge. The ban of the hip drop tackle in the NFL is absolutely bleeping absurd. I really would like to curse, but we like to keep this show family friendly. This will give more advantages to the offense, put the defenders at even more of a risk. You can preach technique all you want to, but a football game is imperfect. And you don't always have the perfect technique to make the perfect tackle and protect yourself and the player. I do not like the hip drop tackle, but it is necessary to prevent gaining of yards. And it's also necessary to prevent going under somebody and taking them out low. So personally, they're basically bringing it back. You're going to get fined and hit high. You're going to go low and force maybe a hip drop tackle, and then 15 yards, whatever the play noted, blah, blah, blah. And to me, it's just blah. I think you're ruining the game. I do. I think we are making so many rules to correct a violent game. This is a violent game. It is violent. And that's why we as American people like it. It's why everybody in the world likes it. From the early times, humans have watched gladiators go out in arenas and fight animals to the death. I'm serious, Wayne. This is in everyone's blood is combat sports, physicality, and just beating up on somebody. Everybody likes it, or every combat sport. You don't get my point. They're ruining the game. They are well compensated and have great medical benefits. And the equipment has come so far, and the headhunting has come out of the game. But to ban the hip drop tackle is just asinine. I don't have a comment on the new kickoff rules yet. And there's a couple challenge rules I'm okay with. The kickoff rule, I think it's a little fluky.
Yeah.
If you really want to,
it's complicated.
It's very complicating. It's very complicating. Sure, it might increase some average run backs. And with the new rule, you saw the Steelers go out and sign former Falcon Cordero Patterson. Yeah. He's a great returner. But I just don't know about the rules, man. And I don't like the ban of the hip drop tackle. And I know it's a long-winded final thought, but I'm fed up with these rule changes because it benefits the offense so much. Wayne, your final thought, man.
Well, my final thought is going to be also about football, but this weekend, first games of the UFL begin with the Birmingham Stallions at the Arlington Renegades. I think it's 1 o'clock or something like that on Fox.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting spring football season with the Big Two merging together. Wayne, that completes our show. A little bit longer than I thought we would go tonight, but we had a lot of fun doing it. Folks, again, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you get notified when we drop our latest content. For Wayne in Memphis, Larry in Adairsville, Todd in Woodstock, I'm JJ Jurjevich, reminding you, get you one. We'll see you next week. Bye.